Good morning, on what is a warm, bright and sunny day. It is Tuesday the 26th of March and I'm in the reading nook with a nice hot cup of tea and a role-playing game to unbox. This is Lords of Creation, published by Avalon Hill, 1983. So, Lords of Creation, the ultimate role-playing game, a game of science, fantasy, science fiction and high adventure that explores the farthest reaches of your imagination. Splendid adventures take place throughout time, space, and other dimensions. Designed for both experienced role-playing gamers and beginners, Lords of Creation allows unlimited voyages via your imagination through time and beyond worldly dimensions. Journey into the magical realms ruled by swords and sorcery, battle bizarre aliens and killer robots on mysterious planets in distant galaxies. Venture into the worlds of mystery, horror, and wonder hidden just beneath the surface of the present everyday world. Experience thrilling adventures as you become a valiant, courageous hero. All you need to play are the rules and the dice included, and your imagination. Includes a combat system including 53 different weapon types of weapons, ranging from swords and spears to proton beamers and blasters. More than 450 foes to challenge the most daring of role players. 100 different non-combat skills and 53 combat skills the characters can learn as they experience. 60 different powers the characters can gradually gain. And that's quite a lot in what is quite a light box. So what have we got inside? Is this. We've got some rather plain dice. So you've got a 20-sided die and a 10-sided die, a 6-sided die, and then you've got a couple of books. So these are the rule book and the book of foes. So, to be fair, Avalon Hill did not have a lot of success with its role-playing games. Perils and Perils was probably a big flop. Its which was too complex. Nobody really not everyone really liked its treatment of RuneQuest. What else? I'm just thinking. Tales of the Floating Vagabond was well received, I think, and that's about it. Didn't do very many role-playing games. And this one kind of promises quite a lot in quite a slim book, especially if this is the Book of Foes. But let's have a look. So, table of contents, the rule book, and this is a really nice copy of it. The box is split there, as you can see. Apart from that, it's in really nice condition. So we've got introduction to the role-playing game, and you can tell. Another thing I should bear in mind is that it did actually have success with the James Bond role-playing game. That was done via Victory Games, and that's actually a fantastic game. Really very well designed. And we're on to creating characters, and it's all quite dense text. It's written. I mean, it's not written like a war game, which some of Avalon Hill's role-playing games were. So we've got basically creating characters, how to use the dice, basic ability scores, physical scores, title abilities. There's the experience table. You just got the one. And then we've got actual how to create a character. There's the character sheet. Looking very much, I mean, not like it's not like the James Bond role-playing game character sheet at all, but the use of that spot blue is reminiscent of it. Here's the full skill list. So, under scientists, you've got chemistry, biology, astrophysics, future, magical, energy systems, communication, radio, Morse code, radar, sonar, direction finding, futuristic, magical, and so on. Then we get into combat. Looks to be fairly simple. I mean, it's these isn't actually combat. This is actually a list of all the skills. Sorry. So I'm just looking at there's the list of sort of like the combat skills there, and they're all explained. You've even got sections for sort of like master criminal. Equipment section, an explanation of items, some decent artwork as well. Here we get on to combat. It's difficult to kind of work out exactly how things work in here because of the density of text. I'm even looking for a skill system in here. I'm sure there is one. Yeah, it doesn't sort of tell you how things work, but I mean, you're straight into combat. And, you know, you've got things like, there's the range combat chart, and over the table you've got a table for multiple attack table. Additional combat rules, optional combat rules, so quite an extensive section on combat given the, you know, this is a 60 page rulebook. And then we're on to things like poison and stuff like that, other sort of like damaging effects on your character. Then we're into powers. So things like you can be a clairvoyance, you can be a cyborg, an invoker, a sorcerer, a projector, a poltergeist, a wizard, a mentat, and you all have sort of access to this range of abilities. So these are sort of, there's quite some detail given to them. Actually, more detail, of course, than the skills. I mean, obviously, because these are the special stuff, the special abilities of play. Game Master's information, so you've got the Game Master's job, what he's expected to do, keep the adventure exciting, keep it fun, know the game. Here we've got an example of play, which I appreciate actually being in here, should have been earlier. And then creating your guide to creating your own adventures. You've already got the starting adventure. First adventure module was the Horn of Roland, and there were 3. I think the other ones would be sort of like the Yeti Sanction is another one, and we're looking at different settings. So fantasy, science fiction, alternate dimensions, pocket universes, you know, and then themes of things like rescue, escape, quests, lost civilizations, exploration, saving civilizations. So those are some ideas of what types of adventures you can have. And we've got a bit more worked out example, like an encounter in the enchanted forest, and then we're on to how to create foes for your campaign, your game, and then we've got setting index, essentially an optional rules for, you know, the 3 factors known as the psychic index, technology index, and magic index. So here we have the 20th century index as it would have been in 1982, 1983. Special equipment that might be available, both science fiction and magical, discussion of those, lands of wonder, sort of like taking it out away from the 20th century to locations that, for example, like the Elder Lands, and here we've got a list of those broken down, quick thumbnail descriptions, and there we go, there's the map of them. And then essentially it's an alternate kind of fantasy version of the ancient world. We've got discussion of imperial terror, essentially, which is time of the far future, the greatest power of the galaxy is the Empire of Terror. So you've got a science fiction setting as well. The Land of Ura is a science fantasy setting inspired by the mystical poetry of William Blake. So you've got some interesting settings in here. You know, they might have been accorded whole supplements of their own. And here we've got a map of the land of Olro. And the next one is the swashbuckling era, 1618 to 1715. So you've got a century there, a swashbuckling as a setting. And then an overview of Paris and a map in the swashbuckling era. And the next section is Prido is a Welsh for Earth and Terror. Prido is a parallel world, meaning it's up to a point it shared in history. But here, this is essentially an alternate world, alternate history, complete with map, and then we have the elemental planes. So you've got a really interesting kind of selection of locations, including the 9 worlds of Asgardian mythology. So that actually packs quite a lot of playable content in there. I don't know whether you get particularly interesting characters essentially, or whether it's mechanically interesting because you can't really see. Then you've got the Book of Foes, and that's as long as the rule book. So we've got a big list of monsters. An introduction, and then got stats and so for them, beginning with Abiku, Acephalai, weird monsters there, and then it's just going to be pages and pages of monsters. There you go. And it sort of looks a little bit like the monster manual, but the artwork is really good. I really is very nice. And there is, for example, you've got here the Asgard world. So you've got Thor, Tyr, Odin, Heimdall, Freya, and Loki. The stats for them, so you can tie that into the 9 worlds described earlier in the rule book. You know, and then we've got like more fantasy creatures, ordinary humans, and not so ordinary humans. So, for example, you've got a list here that includes humans from across history. So you've got Sir Richard Francis Burton, David Crockett, King Arthur, Brian Boru, Sir Lancelot, and more. You've got Kunara, you've seen space aliens as well. You've got the Kurgan, complete with a fertility symbol there. You've got a world where so you've got lupines there. If you want your anthropomorphic animals or enemies, mutants, gods of Olympus, prehistoric animals, so your dinosaurs. You've got a psycho killer, puppet master. So yeah, it really does deliver on the monsters, very much so. Creatures of the shadow elemental plane. Swamp monster, just really, most of them illustrated really nicely done. Not a lot of description to them. You might want to go take away and sort of like develop it a bit more. You've got basically an advert for Heroes magazine that's got caught up in the box, so I'll slip that back in. So yeah, it does deliver on the number of monsters, definitely. So yes, that's the Book of Foes. Now I should note this is actually that this is written by Tom Moldvay, who is best known as the creator of, the writer of the basic Dungeons and Dragons, published in 1981-1982, together with David Cook and Stephen R. Marsh, essentially known as the Moldvay Cook version, that got a basic set and an expert expansion. And it's probably one of the sort of like, along with the one that followed by Frank Menser, the Beckman version, very, very well regarded. So he was the author of that, and that's what became the basis of Old School Essentials. So this is actually his own role-playing game. So what else you've also got in here is an advert for Heroes magazine, which is Avalon Hill's role-playing magazine, and you've also got a mail-in card for the game. You'd send that in for more information. Basically, and tell Avalon Hill what you thought of the game. So yeah, I am impressed with the condition of this copy of Lords of Creation, but I'm actually fascinated with the role-playing game. It does look a bit bare bones in terms of sort of like mechanically, apart from combat, but it looks like you can create some interesting characters, and then really go off on sort of like multi-genre, multi-universe settings. How you do that is all going to be contained in there. It's an interesting that's been returned to again and again, more recently with something like, you know, the Hypertellurians role-playing game from Motrocrosh Publications, and you know, Examining the Crystal Spheres. What was I looking at the other day? Another role-playing game which I reviewed and was quite interested in. But yeah, this perhaps is one of the earliest of the sort of like the multi-universe kind of role-playing games. Perhaps along with sort of like Worlds of Wonder from Chaosium, which came out, 1982, something like that. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook. If you did, then please do click on the like button down below. And if you've got any comments or feedback, I do appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to get more unboxings in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a box containing a book or game or role-playing game, or in this case, an actual boxed role-playing game from 40 years ago, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do click on the subscribe button down below. Thanks again for watching another unboxing in the Nook. I will be back again soon with another one. Bye for now.